Welcome back to Cityline, and joining me now is Frank Boykin, who is the Washington Minority Business Development Agency Director. And welcome to Cityline, Frank.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So you've just joined the City of Tacoma in August, and thank you for joining us on Cityline today. Now you and I run into one another in the community fairly often, but I believe it's your first time joining us on the show, right?
It's absolutely right. My first time being here and really excited about that. But as I think about really what's going on in my life and what's going on with MBDA, I get really excited because there are three things that really make me tick. That's business, that's community, and advocacy. And with MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency, I get to do all that, live it every day. As it's consistent with our mission, which is to promote different opportunities and really to promote competitiveness for minority-owned businesses. So I'm really excited about that and just looking forward to doing more of it.
Very good. So now you're usually doing something exciting in the community. When I see you and your visit today is predicated on a new leadership role you have as the director of MBDA, and it does sound exciting. So give me the scoop. What is MBDA and how long have you been there? Highlight the work that you do.
My pleasure. MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency, is just that. It's an agency, federal agency associated with the Department of Commerce. And what's interesting about that story is a couple of things. It really dates back to 1960s, specifically 1969 of March, when there was an opportunity for then President Nixon to provide an executive order, actually Executive Order 11458, which was to establish OMBE, Office of Minority Business Enterprises. As a result of him being elected, and in his first 100 days, he fulfilled a campaign promise, which is really what's behind the creation of OMBE. It migrated to what we know today is Minority Business Development Agency. And what's really cool about that as it relates to Tacoma, it's a very interesting and different, distinct business model. What I mean by that, MBDA agency is supported and operated by the City of Tacoma. That's been since 2016. And it began with Marilyn Strickland, now Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland,
right,
formerly Mayor of Tacoma, who had a vision and saw that really providing this type of opportunity was great to help us stand up not only minority business in the state, but ensure that we could have the type of impacts when it came to underserved, underrepresented communities in Washington State.
Very good. Wow. We're getting a history lesson on the Cityline Halloween Spooktacular. So now, as I understand it, I know you work for the city, but your department actually aligns statewide and to a federal agency as well. So help us connect all the dots.
Okay. Be more than happy to do that. Again, the Minority Business Development Agency is a federal agency, and it is tied to the United States Department of Commerce. And so that's where you have the federal component.
Okay.
As a result of its charge, we get to provide state services, statewide region services to those communities that we are particularly looking to impact. In that regard, we've got the state that supports minority business in a very different way. And because of the unique, well, not unique, but distinct business model, because it's more than just one. We've got a second business model in this fleet of small business centers that has the same type of business model, where there's a municipality, in this case, obviously the City of Tacoma,
right,
as its operator. And so we're tied to the CEDD, or Community Economic Development Department. And that really is a blessing in disguise. So we get opportunities to not only ensure that we've got enhancements in ways that impact our city, our state, and of course, reporting up to the federal government, but also in terms of resources. Same sort of scenario as we align in ways to ensure that we are making a significant impact for the communities that we want to make sure we serve.
Very good. All right, so I think some of our viewers might be falling off their chairs because you said two things that are very surprising, the 1960s and Nixon. Expand on that.
I get that. Again, it's a very interesting story. I shared that President Nixon did in fact start OMBA established that with that executive order. It was an interesting scenario because as you think about in his first 100 days, it being part of not only his vision, it was also a campaign promise. So when I think about the history, of course, President Nixon is known for a number of things, but that was one thing in particular that certainly has stood the test of time and that I see as a very positive thing. Hopefully, it will continue to demonstrate that that was very good wisdom. Certainly what we have ahead of us and what it is in terms of resources impacting my enthusiasm and my team's enthusiasm, we're going to continue to do the good work around MBDA and impact our community accordingly.
Right. Very good. Good explanation, too.
You bet.
Okay, so given that Nixon had it in mind and now as MBDA evolved, how far has it moved from its inception?
Wow. That's a complicated question. At the same time, it's a very timely question. Let me give you three perspectives: the good, the bad, and the well, we won't call it the ugly, but what we'll call is what's in front of us, and as a result, what we get a chance to tackle. Here is the good stuff. MBDA in November 2021, there was an act, the Minority Business Development Act, excuse me. And as a result of that, it really has changed the landscape for MBDA at a federal level. For example, it establishes MBDA as a permanent agency. When Nixon's vision brought it about back as OMBE, it always had an opportunity to no longer be a going concern. Each administration had to essentially support MBDA's mission and vision for it to continue to be impactful. Well, what happened in November of 2021, again, the Minority Business Development Act made it a permanent agency and stood it up with a very powerful three-legged impact. We have a secretary, a deputy secretary, and an undersecretary. And that undersecretary is our business development guru. That's Don Cravens, and we are really, really excited about his vision and the impact. The second thing that it did, it expands MBDA. So it ensures that we not only have support for different business centers in different ways, but it also ensures that we'll have rural centers as well as other technical centers to ensure that we can meet businesses where they are with additional resources and additional business centers. So that's very exciting. And then lastly, it just really gives us influence that we haven't had before. Influence and the ability to now have a different accountability from the top down as well as the bottom up. So we're really excited about what that means in terms of ensuring that people are leaning into this opportunity with minority businesses and minority communities that have never been here before. And what is really exciting for me is I'm just so blessed to be in this position to see how we improve not only the structure, but also ensure individual businesses get a long overdue impact based upon, hopefully, the leadership that I'm very enthusiastic about sharing, as well as my team who are formidable to make the type of impacts that we'd like to see.
Now, if I can just ask one follow-up question. You mentioned CED and Jeff Robinson.
Absolutely.
And can you share the relationship there between MBDA and the CED?
I can. Jeff Robinson, fabulous, wonderful in community, certainly wonderful in business development, wonderful in economic development. Community Economic Development Department, we're also aligned as a result of the structure. So as that org chart, if you will, I'm a division manager within the city, within that particular department.
Oh, okay.
So we align in that regard at a minimum. But what happens as a result is we have the ear and the intellectual capital, as well as the additional resources, not just of extended departments who lean into this work with us every day in a way that is able for us to touch and have conversations that are impactful. But just as importantly, we have seen the impact from MBDA's engagement as benefits to the city. For example, the economic development, one of the major accomplishments for 2021, 2022 is how there's been training for more than 1,000 businesses, providing technical assistance as a result. That has been impactful and certainly has made an increase for the city's own economic development plan. That's been through MBDA or the Minority Business Development Agency. Again, dotted line right there, operated by the city of Tacoma. There's also additional accomplishments where we've seen increases in not just the awards, but also in the amounts of the awards. So that has been up again as a result of the engagement. These are both economic development impacts that align with the Community Economic Development Plan, as well as the impact to the city. So it is really, really a great time to line up with MBDA, and I am just extremely proud to have this opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I can feel your enthusiasm. That's great. So, how does the MBDA advocate for businesses in our community? What are some examples of the things you do?
Okay. Well, when I think about really our core mission, I began sharing with you a couple of different things about how we are invested in promoting the growth of minority businesses, and we're looking to make sure that there is a competitiveness that exists for resources that have been traditionally outside of those communities and impacting those communities in a challenging way. So what we're invested in, absolutely foremost, is prioritizing access. Access to capital, access to contracts, and access to markets. And we do that to ensure that there is not only engagement that allows this various entity to compete, but just as importantly, as our engagement comes about, it is done with my team's expectation that everywhere we engage, we are determined to create an elevated experience for our clients. And so that is our first opportunity to engage the right way and for them to be able to see us, and much more importantly, they know that we see them. The examples are we're connected in any number of ways. The typical ways, phone call, email, or in-person meetings, which we really enjoy. It gives us a chance to do really one thing very, very well. We're invested in making sure that we learn ourselves as a team so that we can absolutely be confident that we're putting our best foot forward with the interdependence that happens on the team. But we also are equally invested in learning our partners so that when we're talking about engaging subsequent clients, communities that have been traditionally underrepresented and underserved, we're confident that we're placing the right resources in their space. We're confident that those resources understand our mission and it is not casual. And we're even more confident that as a result of being really meticulous in that approach, that we're going to have an impact that clients really enjoy and see growth in their business as a result. So those examples are what we absolutely make it a point to put at the forefront of our engagement each and every day.
Nice. So how, let's see, that's a lot of work. How big is your team?
Well, the team, as I see it, are at least 3 very hardworking, very specialized individuals. And I'm going to name them. It's Ivan Golovkin. He is our contract and procurement auditor. It is Jessica Chang, who is our program technician, and it is Orlantha Coleman, who is our business development specialist. That's my core team. We've got a couple of folks that provide additional administrative support for us. But in reality, those are the folks that are just lining up every day, insisting on making sure that we have an elevated experience for our clients. But as I told you about this unique business model that's operated by the city, we get the aligned resources of the Community Economic Development Department, as well as the resources, if need be, brought to bear of the city of Tacoma. So I'm excited to count all of them as part of our team and really appreciative of the robust impact that means when we decide to move in one direction and in one synchronized fashion.
Wow. Well, we're glad to have you. So given all that your team does, you probably got a line of people to help from here to the east side of the state, right?
You bet we do. You bet we do. And if it were up to me, we would push even further than that. But our jurisdiction only stops at the state borders. So yes, that includes Eastern Washington, which we are looking very intentionally at and looking for inroads to make impacts that we can brag about. We're also very invested in things that are certainly outside of Pierce County. But that's been traditionally how we serve, and it's also been traditionally how we perform. This team has a track record of being top 5 every year that it's been in existence since 2016. Now, no pressure for the new director, but I can tell you that we are determined to ensure that we are going to be even better than we've been in the past, by being very intentional about our work, being authentic in our work, and being really sure about how we engage each and every day.
Great. Well, we're running out of time here.
Oh, no.
So any final comments from Mr. Frank Boykin today?
I can just tell you that I'm really excited to be here. I showed you that the role of having an opportunity to really jump into business, community, and being an advocate it's a dream come true. It's an extension of the things that I've always cared about, and it's really, really how I believe that we help people in our other-centeredness. And so I hope that that resonates with folks as they think about MBDA, and that they recognize the new MBDA is ready to do business.
Very good.
You bet.
Well, Frank Boykin, the Washington Minority Business Development Agency Director, we thank you for being on Cityline today.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And we'll be back on this Halloween spooktacular here on Cityline with the Tacoma Little Theater in just a moment.